from Country Diggers and History Hiccups. Today we're going to do a history on ball jars, okay? And Tara wanted this one, so I'm doing it for her. And she wanted to know about the baby food jars that had ball on the bottom. Well, the baby food jars that they put baby food in didn't really exist until the 1920s. And that's when they started putting baby food in the small little jars. Okay? And the ones we find, though, are probably from like 1950s, 60s, 70s. Stuff like that. Okay, hope y'all enjoy. The history of ball mason jars. You can find this article on the Mason Jar website. It's a story from February 21st, 2023. Ball is one of the most recognized names in home canning. In early 1900s, there were hundreds of brands of mason jars, but only a few stood the test of time. Ironically, while it's one of the most iconic products of all time, few people know the history behind the ageless invention. To satisfy your curiosity, we're serving up a pint-sized history of the ball mason jar. Quick fact: who invented the mason jar? John Landis Mason invented the mason jar on November 30th, 1858. In 1884, Ball Corporation began manufacturing glass home canning jars, the product that established Ball as a household name and licensed Mason's design. There are few everyday objects more iconic than the Ball mason jar. Stand it up next to the most memorable product designs of all times: Polaroid camera, Converse sneakers, Swiss Army knives, Levi jeans, the glass Coca-Cola bottle, etc., etc. And it can hang with the best of them. Perhaps it's the timeless logo, the inexplicably comfortable weight of the vessel, or the effortless balance between elegance and utility that has secured Ball's success for the last century. Ironically, while the Ball mason jar is one of the more iconic products of all time, few people know the history behind the ageless invention. Seeing as how mason jar related searches have reached breakout status in Google Trends, meaning the search term has grown by far more than 5,000%. We thought we'd help you satisfy your curiosity by giving you a pint-sized history of the Ball mason jar. Okay. Today, food manufacturers, restaurants, and home canners understand the finer points of preserving food. But 160 years ago, people weren't considering nor truly conscious of the potential dangers of expired food or inadequately sealed vegetables. Without a thorough understanding of food preservation, foodborne illnesses such as botulism, listeria, and E. coli were significant threats. While rudimentary canning, pickling, and curing practices helped extend the lifespan of people's foods, it wasn't until John Landis Mason invented his airtight invention, the mason jar, that the art of food preservation was perfected. Mason was only 26 when he filed his jar patent. However, the journey to creating the ultimate jar was no simple process. The pioneering of preservation. Before the jar, Mason patented a chunk for making sheet metal screws. In March of 1858, the conical shape of this chunk allowed him to create a cap that sealed as it was tightened. However, the problem of food preservation went much deeper than a fitted lid. Mason needed a vessel, one with uniform threads that matched the cap. Because it didn't exist already, Mason did what he did best. He invented another product, this time a mold for making bottles. The new development came with significant improvements to the neck of the bottle while still using the existing glass molds. From here, his inventions naturally improved, and Mason ultimately filed the patent for the improved end screw neck bottles on November 30th, 1858. It was the first hermetically resealable glass jar. These improvements, coupled with a rubber washer, transformed the capabilities of the home canning industry and solidified Mason's place in history. Not one to rest on his laurels, Mason continued to improve upon his ideas and secured another patent on June 6, 1871, called the Improvement in Screw Caps and Rings for Fruit Jars. Though it was only a minor revision, Mason added a small bump on the side of his lid to aid in opening jars. Mason's final noteworthy patents, fruit jars and fruit covers, were both issued on April 1st, 1873. Ball Brothers preserving Mason's legacy. After 20 years, Mason's designs became public knowledge, and manufacturers had free rein to use them, because competitors produced most Mason jars after his patent expired in 1879. Mason never achieved wealth and sadly lived meagerly until his death in 1902. While some manufacturers blatantly ripped off his timeless invention, others were honest in their production. Documented factories that actually licensed Mason's designs in the late 1800s included Mason Manufacturing Company, Consolidated Fruit Jar Company, and Standard Union Manufacture, and of course the Ball Corporation. According to Ball's timeline, five brothers founded Ball in 1880, and with a $200 loan from their Uncle George, initially the company made wool-jacketed tin cans for products such as paint, kerosene, and other chemicals. 4 years later, the brothers began manufacturing glass home canning jars, the product that established Ball as a household name. Interestingly, Ball no longer manufactures mason jars, but has expanded and grown into a worldwide company that makes everything from metal containers to aerospace parts. The spirit of the jar lives on. Despite Mason's death, inventors and interpreters continue to make improvements to his jar and lid design. One of the most notable contemporary improvements to his legacy design is Recap Mason Jars Variety Lids. Originally launched as a Kickstarter campaign in 2011, the Recap Mason Jar Lid offers a contemporary upgrade to John Mason's two-piece lid system. Before this design, there were no single-piece, airtight plastic storage lids available for mason jars. Designed by Karen Respecki, Rezepecki, and produced in Erie, Pennsylvania. This BPA-free recyclable lid simplifies pouring and drinking, and reduces mess when dispensing stored objects. Recap's pour lid alongside glass mason jars makes for one of the safest and most sustainable food and beverage storage solutions available. Replacing metal mason jar lids with Recap's plastic pour lids eliminates the potential for rust and BPA seepage. On November 19th, 2015, Respecki patented several add-ons for the original Recap mason jar lid, including the flip pour adapter, pump, and tap lids. These accessories have reduced the need for consumers to purchase disposables such as cups, containers, bottles, and straws. The growing tide of throwaway plastics has caused trillions of plastic bottles, straws, packaging to be littered all over the planet. In fact, scientists estimate that by weight there will be more plastic than. When did this turn into a climate change ad? Okay, here we go. Preserving history. Because of the mason jar's simple charm, it's easy to overlook the profound impact it has had on our culture. In many ways, it's transcended its original purpose as a mere means of food preservation. Whether they've used for party cocktails or eco-friendly pack-and-go containers, it's clear that mason jars have made a lasting impression on our culture. All right, hope y'all enjoyed that, except for the little climate change environmental trope they had here. But hope y'all enjoyed the rest of it. All right, see you back soon. Bye.